Okay, we are recording the meeting, live streaming to Facebook. We're ready to go.
Thank you. Welcome. I now call to order the regular meeting of the Stonington Board of Police Commissioners, August 13th, 2020. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Roger. All right, I'd like to start the meeting with anybody from the public who wishes to make a comment that is not will not be addressed on the agenda. Is there anybody who's got anything to say from the public? Okay, hearing nothing. On to new business. Concert at the Lighthouse. We got an email from John at Saltmarsh Opera, John Delmhorst, saying that the Saltmarsh Opera is again having its concert at the Lighthouse Sunday, August 16th. Due to COVID restrictions, can only expect 90 to 100 attendees instead of the usual 300 to 400. No alcohol sales at the event. Attendees will be allowed to bring their own. This year, there will not be a shuttle from the town dock. There should not be any traffic impact as attendees will have to find parking on neighboring streets. Based on the above, Saltmarsh Opera does not believe they will need police coverage for the event. I'm going to go in order, and let me just say that joined with me at the meeting in directly are Chief Stewart and Captain Olson. Okay. Any comments starting with Commissioner O'Shaughnessy?
No, I see no problem with it as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Commissioner Tabor?
I don't have an issue with it. I guess I do. The only question I might have is he says that they expect a fewer number of attendees, but are they restricting it in any fashion? Asking in a different way, even though they expect 90 to 100, how certain are they that it's going to be that reduced amount and not more folks?
Mr. Delmhorst, I see you here.
Yes, I am here.
Would you care to address that question?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Tabor.
You're welcome.
We have limited the number of attendants, and we have maxed out right now, and there will be no tickets sold at the door. We have maxed out at that roughly 100 number.
Okay, so you are limiting it then.
Correct.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
Very good. Commissioner Elmer, any questions or thoughts?
Not at all, Mr. Chairman. That sounds fine with me.
All right. Commissioner Turner, are you present?
Yes, I am. I'm good with this.
Okay, very well. Do I hear a motion to approve the concert at the Stonington Lighthouse with the limited attendance?
Commissioner Tabor will make that motion.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it. Commissioner Elmer.
Commissioner Elmer. Chief, do you have an issue with the fact that they say they're not requiring or requesting any police presence?
That was actually the reason why I put it on the agenda. To be honest with you, you really don't have to vote because it's under the purview of the borough. So the borough police commissioner or the borough warden and burgesses would probably be approving this anyways. Okay. This is more because of the alcohol and the fact that we usually have a police officer, usually 2 officers down there.
Right.
So that's really the main reason for on there. It really doesn't take any need any action on the part of you guys. You certainly have voiced that you don't see an issue with it, which we don't see an issue with it either. But it was more of a FYI that
Oh, okay.
really a vote needed.
It says vote needed
I know,
here,
I should
so-
have scratched that one off.
Okay.
But really didn't need a vote because it's under the purview of the borough.
All right. Well, okay, so no vote needed. We can pass on our comments to the borough that we don't see any issues and support them and wish them well in their venture. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
He always does a nice job down there. He's always in
Yep.
contact with us. So.
All right, on to traffic. I-95 South off-ramp issues. Chief, do you want to address this?
This was an email from one of our residents that had an issue at the intersection up there on Route 27. So I forwarded that off to the state with a group that have been involved with some of the wrong way drivers. I have not heard back from any of the people from the state of Connecticut, but they certainly are now aware of the concern because that's dealing with all state roads and everything right there. So that's if anything else comes up with that, I will let you know. But I'll resend this even.
Okay, so at this point, there's no action required
No
from our
action
part.
on us.
It's state to federal.
Right.
Okay. Dennison Homestead Campus sign change. Is Mr. Brown, are you here to talk about that?
I am here via electronics.
All right. We see your email. As I understand it, you would like to that the sign strip for Dennison Homestead Museum located at Jerry Brown property be replaced with a sign the same size saying Dennison Homestead Campus.
That's correct. We're working with the State Department of Transportation to get signage on 95 attraction signs that would say Dennison Homestead Campus. And of course, the signs which the town has put up now on Coogan Boulevard say Dennison Homestead Campus. And the state wants them to be consistent throughout. So we're asking to get the names changed on the Dennison Homestead Museum signs. The highway department basically can recycle the blanks and just put the new wording on.
Okay.
And that would make everything consistent with what we've done over the last year.
Very well. Captain, Chief, any comments?
Yeah, I think because I think he has sort of the stacking of the different verbiage down there that
Yep.
we agreed there'd be one name, the campus. So I think that, Jess, you're talking, first of all, good afternoon, Jess, how are you? I think we're talking about right at Pequot Seapost and Jerry Brown.
But just the critical one is that where Pequot Seapost takes off from Jerry Brown.
Yeah,
The Coogan Boulevard signs are going in and they say Dennison Homestead Campus. And the people at the Connecticut DOT are not going to change the signs that the state owns until the town signs are consistent.
yeah, we can make that happen. They already have the blanks, so that shouldn't be a problem. Then we can get rid of all the stacking signs that you have there.
Okay. So do we need to take any action on this? It sounds like it's underway. Take a vote. All right. Any comments, Commissioner O'Shaughnessy?
No,
Commissioner Tabor?
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Elmer?
No, sir.
Commissioner Turner?
No, just one, and I think it's a very positive change for the region to have the campus wordage there. It saves on confusion. So yeah, very much in favor.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to change the strip sign from Dennison Homestead Museum to Dennison Homestead Campus as it's located on the corner of Jerry Brown and Pequot Seapost Road?
I make that
So
motion.
moved. Okay, I'll second Turner.
Who made the motion, please?
O'Shaughnessy.
O'Shaughnessy made it, Turner second. Any discussion? All in favor, starting with Commissioner O'Shaughnessy,
Aye.
Commissioner Tabor, Commissioner Elmer,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next on the agenda, item C, overflow parking, Masons Island Road. Do we have anybody here online to talk about that? All right, Chief, do you have any thoughts, any comments on this?
Well, it seems in the COVID-19 world that particular spot has become very, very popular for clamming and kayaking, fishing, you name it, has been down there. And of course, there's no real parking lot or anything there unless you go on private property. You have, if you go to the right at the fork, you run into a variety of private roads, including Du Bois, which apparently a lot of people have been parking on Du Bois. So I know the fire department is going down there this weekend to take a look and see, make sure that fire trucks and ambulances can get through. The question will be is along Masons Island Road as you go along that stretch, and whether in the future we have to take some kind of no parking area. But if you do no parking there, where do they go?
Yeah.
There isn't a solution to that one right there.
What about on Old North Road?
Well,
It's a little wider.
not by much, and then you're really parking in people's front yards at that
Yeah.
point in time
Okay.
instead of that section. So I think at this point in time, if you see the picture that was given,
Yeah.
all the vehicles are off the road.
Yeah.
So I don't have a solution to that one right there. Where you're going to put those vehicles if it continues to be a popular spot. But I think at some point in time we have to potentially look at addressing that in some way, especially if they, start making a pull off there or something like that because of vehicles. So I think the key is going to be is if people start to park in the road that we'll have to do something at that point in time.
So at this point, because nobody's on the road, you have a suggestion? Are you recommending that we take no action at this time?
I think you take no action because I think that's part of the town right away right there that parking on. The police commission hasn't limited parking in any way there at this particular time. And we've had one complaint. I know one of the commissioners lives in the area there, and I know they keep an eye on it. Du Bois Drive, a road, which is your first right, that is a private road, and people are parking along that. So I'm not quite sure what type of complaints we're eventually going to get. The fire department can certainly make Du Bois a fire lane if they need to, if they feel that way. So I think we have to see how this evolves, and especially once we're out of the COVID world, on whether people are going to continue to use that as a popular spot. So.
Okay. So do I hear a motion at this point to table this pending ongoing review of the situation?
Henry, I got just a couple of comments.
Yes.
The town clamming map that's given out to people has a number of parking areas designated on the town clamming map. And one of those areas is on the east side of the bridge, just by the fence there as you go over the causeway. There's a P there on the clamming map. And also there's two additional Ps and one seems to be at Du Bois Road, and one seems to be by Orchard Hill Drive. So there's two parking spaces, areas that are designated by the town. Of course, there's limited, there's no parking on Orchard Hill. I happen to live there, I know that. But there is parking on Du Bois. I think if we put any type of more parking signs along that stretch, you're just going to drive people into the neighborhoods where it'll cause even more problems than it have. So right now, I think we should just leave it the way it is and see what happens, like the chief said. And I think we'll see what the fire department says this weekend as far as having too many cars parked in Du Bois. If they do park on both sides of Du Bois, it does limit the access for fire equipment there.
Okay. So do I hear you requesting a motion, making a motion that we
To table this.
that we table this pending ongoing review and sort of observation?
I make that motion.
I'll second it, Commissioner Tabor.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to table this request pending further review. Any discussion? Further discussion? Okay, running down the rolls for a vote, Commissioner O'Shaughnessy,
Aye.
Commissioner Tabor,
Aye.
Commissioner Elmer,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries that we table this pending further review. On to item D, email request for speed limit sign on Palmer Neck Road. Chief, would you like to open this?
It's asking for a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit sign on Palmer Neck Road. I think there's a small section in there that dates back when the state actually took over Barn Island. So it's a one-way, basically. It's alternating traffic because it's only one lane that's down there. The state has designated Palmer Neck Road, the full length of it, I believe. Let's see, even
25.
is 25 miles an hour. So the only thing that we could do is to put a yellow 15-mile-an-hour sign. That may be the thing they're talking about that could be missing. And if you put a yellow 15-mile-an-hour sign, that becomes a advisory sign, not one that could be enforced.
Prima facie.
So it would be like, okay, you need to slow down, but if you don't slow down, there's nothing the police are going to be able to do about it. So I don't really have a problem putting small little 15-mile-an-hour signs right there on either side.
Okay.
So this is Steve McCabe. May I just make a comment? I'm the one who sent the email in.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Yes, of course.
You're welcome. So the question was, our observation, there used to always be a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit sign just adjacent to where the Barn Island property starts, basically right next to Rob Valenti's house. And it's been missing. I don't know how long it's been missing. So I guess my question, hearing what the chief said, does that mean that the speed limit had been changed there from 15 to 25 by the state?
No, it was
Because it had always been 50.
It was 15 miles an hour officially. It's always been 25 miles an hour. And having sort of grown up in that area, that sign was a yellow sign, if memory serves me correct, which is an advisory sign. It's not what they consider an STC, State Traffic Commission sign that's enforceable by the police. It's an advisory sign. And you see them in certain areas of town. I believe even going down to Mason's Island Road on the causeway itself, it has a 15-mile-an-hour advisory sign down there. So, and actually, if you could travel on Route 1 in Groton, when you come across, I believe it's Flanders Road or one of those roads, they have an advisory sign to slow down to 25 miles an hour. That is not a state sign that has been approved. So I understand why you want people to do 15 miles an hour through there, but the state designated the whole road as 25 miles an hour, so we can certainly put an advisory sign in that area.
So that would be on either side of the bridge.
Right. Not the bridge. It's just past the bridge.
Oh, okay.
So it would be just south of the bridge, and then when you come out of Barn Island Boat Launch, it's right before the one lane that's there. It used to be by Noam Grabowski's house, just a little bit further up from that.
Okay. All right. Any further thoughts, Mr. McCabe, on that?
No, that would be helpful, because the traffic here, since COVID and social media expounding the virtues of Barn Island, the traffic here has increased exponentially, and it's becoming more and more difficult for the residents here to even walk on the road some days. So anything would be helpful. If we could do the advisory signs, that would be great. Hopefully people will take it under advisement and slow down a little bit.
Hopefully so. Okay, do I hear a motion to install yellow advisory signs, speed limit 15 miles an hour at the entrance to the Barn Island Wildlife Refuge.
So moved.
A motion,
Commissioner.
motion's been made by Commissioner Elmer, and do I hear a second?
I'll second it, Commissioner Tabor.
Commissioner Tabor is seconded. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just one point, Mr. Chairman. If we put this advisory sign in, hopefully the folks in the neighborhood will understand that, as the chief has described, we don't have the ability to actually enforce that per se. And so I guess my thought is, if some of the folks in the neighborhood see somebody speeding or going faster than 15, that they make a number of calls to the station wanting some enforcement action taken, which we're not going to be able to do.
I will definitely spread it's a very small neighborhood, and we see almost everyone each day. I'll make sure that everyone in the neighborhood knows that it's just an advisory sign. But
yeah, that would be helpful.
So
that would be helpful.
Okay. Well,
I definitely will do that for sure.
Thank you, Mr. McCabe. Motion's been made and seconded. Running down the roll, do I hear the vote? Commissioner O'Shaughnessy.
Aye.
Commissioner Tabor.
Aye.
Commissioner Elmer.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
All right. The motion carries to install a 15-mile-an-hour yellow advisory sign at the entrance to the Barn Island Wildlife Refuge. All right. Thank you, Mr. McCabe.
Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
You too. Item E, SHMC request for police presence on the water. Mr. Diggs, are you here to discuss that? Mr. Spalding, is this part of your request?
Yes, Jess was going to talk about it. I don't know what happened to him. He was on here.
I'm on as far as I know.
Oh, there you are.
Okay, you're on.
Well, thank you very much for taking our email and bringing us on to the agenda. We appreciate that. The season's been off to a little bit of a slow start, but that hasn't kept people from violating slow, no wake, excessive speed, even outside of the slow, no wake, noise, a number of other things. If we can get the increased presence of the police boat into our jurisdiction, we would appreciate that. We have funds that we can allocate towards that for whatever you choose to do, whether it be for overtime, for the people that are doing the patrol, or for increased training, whatever it takes to basically get the boat out on the water more often. So that's what we'd like to do, and we have the funds available to provide that to you.
Chief, would you like to respond to Mr. Diggs?
We like funding, but our bigger issue is personnel. We just had 2 retirements come down the pike of 2 of our boat operators, and we just hired somebody that we hope to have on board here as a police officer within the next couple weeks. So we look forward to that person, who is the boat operator himself, back in the game probably for next spring. We've been out this weekend. We had the one and only retired Captain Jerry Desmond on at Stonington this past weekend with Tony Casada. They were out there as well. So every weekend we've been out. I think at least one day out of the weekend. Been doing that. We've gone out numerous times on marine-related calls for service out there as well. We had some people lost in the fog. We went out and helped out there on one time, and a couple of other emergencies that have happened, unfortunately, like at Sandy Point. So the boat has been out, not as much as we would like or that you would like, but we are subject to our personnel, and that's our biggest hindrance right now. Not the money that's there; it's the amount of personnel that we have that are available at this particular time. So we certainly feel that, but the boat's been out. I guess it was out on Sunday, was it? I believe Saturday, Sunday. They're out there and going at it, and so every weekend they've been out. So.
Well, actually, I did see it out a couple of days ago. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning, idling in front of Stonington Point over towards Sandy Point. And that's a weekday. What we're trying to really get is a lot of presence on the weekend. because that's when the most action is. Again, our offer is we provide the funds. I realize you've got a personnel problem, but sooner or later you've got to solve the problem of getting the boat used, and we're willing to participate in whatever it takes to get that boat out more often.
Well, if we run out of funds, we'll call you up. But I think at this point in time, I think we're good at it. It's just a matter of us having enough personnel at this point in time, in all honesty.
Are you searching for additional personnel for the police department to solve some of these problems, or are you stuck where you are with the personnel that you have?
We have 3 in training at this point in time to be boat operators, and like I said, we have the new officer coming on hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and that's what we say, because we lost 2 of our main operators to retirement this summer. So.
Well, if you need more funds for training for people on the boat, as I said, we're more than willing to do it. From the standpoint of the public, they don't know whether it's a training exercise or whether it's a patrol. So the presence on the water is what's the thing that we're trying to get any way that you can do it. We would help. If you don't have funds, you can provide it.
Well, I appreciate that, and that was one of the things I brought up to a member of our Board of Selectmen recently, who's probably on the call tonight as well, is that we're unique in Stonington because of our geography. We have the longest coastline in the state, and during the summer we're pulled in a lot of directions, as you know, with Mystic and events. This year we haven't had many events, but we get pulled in a lot of directions, and our personnel is at times stressed, especially during the summer. It's not an excuse, but that's the reality of the area we live in at this point in time. But the boat's out. It's there. It goes out when we have personnel available, and we actually like to have it out on weekends, especially when we know it's going to be busy. We went on a number of calls. I think we went on 6 marine-related calls this weekend. I could be wrong with that number. But I think we've been handling a bunch of the calls out there for service. So let's look here. Let's see. We had 3 this past month that we went out to help out. So
okay. On a related issue, we did put in the dock specifically at a length to be able to handle the police boat, electricity and water. Are there any things with regard to the dock that you'd like to see changed or improved or whatever?
Actually, we just did to help out also with the harbor master. We got water down there, hose, etc. So we were able to do that. I think we ended up paying for that. But we got water so that the harbor master boat and the police boat could be washed down, because that becomes an issue with maintenance and upkeep with that as well. We also applied for a grant, Jesse, for replacement of electronic equipment on the boat. That we got tentative approval. We're just waiting for one thing with that, but it's to upgrade all of our equipment to meet the latest that the Coast Guard wants us to have. You can believe it, after years, the Coast Guard has moved on to more advanced technology, and they want us to do that. So they provided a grant to us. It's a matching grant, but we're sort of in negotiations on how that's going to work to upgrade that equipment.
Okay, well, any way that we can help out, we're here to do that. Your presence on the water is important. Our presence of our harbor master on the water is important, and so we've got fun. So it's a win-win situation where we're out there.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next agenda item F, traffic concerns, commercial vehicle trucks on residential road. Is there anybody from the public to speak on this? This was brought up first in July, or tabled from July. This is the second or third time on the agenda. Since it's been on 3 times, I know we have addressed the initial complaint saying that we can't redirect commercial vehicles if they have a stop in town. I believe that's the way it is.
It's a state law. It's no through truck. It's from one town through a town into another town. So
Right.
If you're in the middle town, you could potentially stop a truck.
Right.
For
But
doing
that's
that.
not the issue
It's
here.
not the issue here. It's the road construction that's going on right now.
Yep.
On
Aquarian water.
Aquarian water on Route 27 and Mistoxic. So you're having trucks also that from up McQuaid's way that will figure out GPS wise that they can get out some of these side streets and avoid all the traffic, and they'll make themselves get over onto Route 1 that way. So it's a public road. There's not anything we're going to be able to do to stop that at this time. I know there's been an officer out on Hewitt Road a couple times because I passed them sitting there monitoring traffic. So they have been out there.
Right.
Chief, we have conveyed that information to this complaint that the residents. We've told her that already, right?
Correct. She also called DOT, I believe.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
All right. So that should be off the agenda for future. Final item on traffic, email on Mechanic Street. Is there anybody present who wishes to address this? I believe the issue came from
Mr. Chairman, I'd recommend that you just table it because we have to pull up the data on the sign down there. We had a little technical problem, I believe, with the sign. So once we have the data, that will give us a better idea of what it actually equals as far as down there, and then we can certainly put it back on the agenda. Hopefully this month we can the data off from that.
All right, so we'll table that till the next meeting, till we get some data. All right. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes of July 13th, special meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for a special meeting on July 13th, Monday, July 13th. Commissioner Tabor.
That's Commissioner Tabor. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Elmer seconds. Any further discussion?
I just have one. This is Commissioner Tabor. I think I have one correction on page 1, fourth line from the bottom. I think it says to ensure. I think that should be ENSURE.
Yes.
I think.
Yep. Okay. Noted. I'll pass that along. It should be ensure, not insure.
Right.
Very good. Thank you. With that correction, any other discussion on those minutes? Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes? Commissioner O'Shaughnessy.
Aye.
Commissioner Tabor.
Aye.
Commissioner Elmer.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
All right, motion carries to approve the minutes from Monday, July 13th special meeting. Next item on the agenda, approval of the minutes for Thursday, July 16th special meeting. Any comments?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of Thursday, July 16th as mailed out to the members.
A motion's been made to approve. Do I hear a second?
Turner will second.
Oh, so
All right, so the motion to approve was from Commissioner O'Shaughnessy. A motion to second is from
Commissioner
Turner.
Turner.
Commissioner Turner. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
One clarification, Mr. Chairman, on page 4. This is Commissioner Tabor. Where the last paragraph where it's talking about my visitation to Cottrell Street, basically kind of describes a singular visit there, and what I meant to convey, and I guess I probably wasn't clear when I made my statement last month. It was actually multiple visitations to the area, and not just, a one-off kind of a one-shot deal. So just for a little clarification on that point.
To be rewritten that he has driven down.
On numerous occasions.
Okay. Making that change now. We'll pass it along. All right. With that correction, do I hear a motion to approve? Do I hear a vote to approve? Commissioner O'Shaughnessy.
Aye.
Commissioner Tabor.
Aye.
Commissioner Elmer.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Very well. Motion is approved. On to the report of the chief.
Okay, in your packets, you have two budget reports, the one ending fiscal year 19-20, and then the latest one a little over a month into August. Fiscal year 19-20, you can see we're well into the black as far as money goes. That was one of the requests that we obviously got through the Board of Finance, is to watch our pennies. So we did turn back some funds that are there. This year we're rolling already. You can see our overtime is been hit pretty hard for a variety of reasons, and sorry about that. But anyways, they're there as far as the reports go. I don't see anything really at this point in time. We're early into this fiscal year as far as things go. Some of our concerns from a budget point of view right now is we did have a failure of our fire alarm system because it got basically hit by a power surge during the storm we had a little over a week ago. So that looks like it's going to be an insurance claim. And it also appears that it's probably going to be about a $7,000 to $8,000 bill to replace not only the fire alarm board, but a lot of the pull stations and smoke alarms, which actually, with the building being over 20 years old, it probably isn't a bad idea to do that at this point in time anyway. So that's sort of one budgetary thing that we have to be aware of. Monthly statistics, you can see some things in there. One thing, I mean, last month I brought it up about the number of fiscal permit applications. We thought it was going to be just a spike because of the COVID that nobody really was doing anything with fiscal permits. So this month we had 34, which is, I think, sort of our all-time high at this point in time. And this month already into August, I believe we have over a dozen right now, and we're not even halfway through the month. So the fiscal permits are rolling in. That is for sure. You can see larcenies went up. We had a bunch of vehicles broken into. We had 12 assaults, 58 disorderly conduct type stuff. We had a bunch of scams. Everybody's at home on their computers, so we had a variety of scams that came down. So it's summertime in Stonington, Mystic. You can hear, from Mr. Diggs and Spalding wanting more boats out there. Our boat out there. We have Mystic is busy almost every night right now, and if you drive through there, you can see the traffic that's there. So we're in the summer mode. Moving on, our alarm report, nothing really to report. Our special event schedule is obviously light this year compared to what it has been. But I'm sure that's going to kick back in. You see a nice letter in your packet from Daniel Cheesler, our first selectman, Leanne Theodore, Human Service Director, in regards to Officer Teresa Hirsch and her outreach to the public during COVID. I give credit to the captain who brought forward that initiative to us and got her to agree to go out and provide some of the services to the public. And it's been nothing but positive. She was able to do the bedtime stories for officers. She's worked with our chaplain program. She's gone out to people's residents and shut-ins. She's delivered meals. She's made sure our PPE is all in order. So I give a lot of credit to Teresa. She's been doing a great job, and certainly that's made a difference. I know they want us to have a full-time type officer for that. And it's certainly something that, as we move forward, we're going to have to discuss on sort of priorities when it comes to manpower. As you can tell, we wanted on the water, we wanted on the streets, we wanted to go out and visit people. So we're being pulled in a bunch of directions here, and that's not even taking into consideration some of the stuff that we're going to have to do with the latest legislation that's come down the pike for us as well. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Sort of moving down, we have one of our crossing guards, Eugene Karen, who's been with us for about 5 years. He decided that he's had enough and put in a note, basically resigning from that position. So did a nice job. I already sent him a letter, so you really don't have to vote on that one. We'll probably try and look to replace him. We do have somebody on standby list that was sort of our reserve crossing guard. So that person will probably step up and help out, and then we'll see about replacing that person. Just giving you an update on our policies and procedures. There's a thing in the state of Connecticut, LESP, which is basically certain policies that the police academy requires of the department. And now with the police accountability bill that passed, we're going to have to do accreditation. We're going to see where that lands, whether it's state accreditation and national accreditation, which I would recommend that we get going on that, because that can be a 2 to 5 year process to gain accreditation for a police department. So basically, because of COVID and everything that's going on, we have not utilized certain parts of our budget, including school safety, including our reserve officers, other than when they're going out on the boat. CSOs, we were only able to hire 1 CSO this year. So I would highly recommend to the commission that we move on our policies and procedures. And in particular, I sent a basic proposal to the chair and vice chair from Daigle Law Group, basically outlining what it would take to get us up and going with a complete review of our policies and procedures and updating them to meet certain standards. And about 45 police departments in Connecticut utilize that service. Excuse me. So I'd recommend that we start to move in that direction. Will probably require us to go to the Board of Finance and ask them to transfer that money into a different account. But I think we're going to end up having to do a lot with policies and procedures because state law is going to require us to do that. And
You might as well get the ball rolling.
get the ball rolling early and often at this point in time and do it that way. And I did send you and Commissioner O'Shaughnessy the proposal. I'll send it to the rest of the commission either tonight or tomorrow.
Right.
Then
Yeah,
they can take
please
a look.
do, and then
Mr. Chairman, I read that proposal. It's the money well spent, and it'll get us well ahead of the power curve that we need to be. So I highly recommend that any of the other commissioners read that and chime in that. But my opinion is we should move ahead with that sooner than later.
and the cost of that was
There was an estimate of approximately $20,000. And Attorney Daigle is well known and is in the Connecticut policing circle and actually nationally. He teaches at IACP for the International Chiefs of Police on their legal group. And like I said, about 45 departments utilize the services already for when it comes to policy and procedure.
all right. So is this something we're going to need a formal?
Well, I think if the commission is okay with that, we would be sort of a redirecting of certain funds. So I would reach out to our liaison with the Board of Finance, Glenn Frischman, talk with him about that, and maybe get on a future agenda so that they can't make any of those line item changes until after January 1st anyways, but as long as if they're aware of it and they think it's all right, then we can start to proceed.
All right, great. If you would please initiate that conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Tabor. I don't, in theory here, I don't have any objection at all. Sounds like it's something that we should do. But unless I lost it, I didn't get a copy of what we're talking about, I don't think.
No, it just went to Commissioner O'Shaughnessy and myself at this point. Chief's getting it out to the other members. It was initially just sent out as sort of an FYI.
Okay.
So we'll be sending it out in the next 24 hours. You should have a copy.
I just got it yesterday, Bob, or yesterday or late
Yeah.
the day before.
Yeah.
So actually, I didn't even have a chance to read it until.
Well, that's fine. I just, before I just want to, I like to be kind of fully abreast of what, particularly if we talk about moving money around or doing things like that. So, I'm fully cognizant of what's going on. That's all. And if it's just a timing issue, that's fine.
I mean, nothing would be happening money-wise until after the 1st.
Okay. Thank you for sending it.
Yeah, I'll send it off. I just got it from him, like I said, a couple days ago. And still trying to process what it was. And I actually, 10 of 5, I received a call from him because I had a couple questions. I wanted to make sure that I could answer. In particular, there's a computer program called Power DMS that we do a lot of our training on and sign-offs on. And I thought that was going to be an additional charge or update type thing, but that was not included in the price, which we already have, so it didn't do that. The other thing would be if we assign somebody, and again, more personnel, if we assign somebody to be a policy liaison with his office, there's a potential to save quite a bit of money with that as well. So that's sort of where I was coming from when it comes to still trying to figure it out. It's very early in the game as far as this goes, but I think it's important that we get ahead of it, because I think every police department in Connecticut is about to do the same thing we're about to do, and I'd rather get in early than to be way down on the list, if you know what I mean, when it comes to.
Yep, makes sense.
So I'll send it off hopefully tonight, and then you can take a look. And if anybody has any questions or anything like that, I can certainly invite Attorney Daigle to do a meeting with us maybe next month to sort of explain what he's doing, if that's what you'd like.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, and then we can sort of go from there when it comes to that.
All right, thank you. One last thing before we finish up with your report, Chief, if we could just bounce, this is Commissioner Tabor, if we could bounce back to the activity report.
Yeah.
I was looking at the data on all of the items, and not to go down each one, but I always kind of look for things that there's either, seemingly material increases or decreases from either year over year or monthly changes. And I'm just curious as to whether some of these things are COVID related, and specifically on page 2.
Yeah.
There's some on page 1 too, but kind of isolates my question, I guess. If you look at 1G, the summonses for all other, last year was 305, this year is 125, and in July of 19 it was 64, this year it's 13. On parking tickets, it's last year to date it was 164, this year it's 50. Last July was 82, this year is 21. And motor vehicle stops, it was 1,175 last year, this year it's 672. Last July was 199, July of 20 it's 33. Is that COVID related decreases?
Absolutely. We're in a bit of a shutdown mode to not have officers unless it was a very serious violation.
Yeah.
Like a DWI type of interact with the public. And that was sort of a standard that was out there amongst the police world to try and keep our officers safe and really only going on the where they have to interact because of an emergency and try and social distance. You think about pulling over a car, you go face to face with somebody, touching their license, registration, other stuff that they may hand to you. So we're trying to mitigate those interactions as best we can, but also maintain public safety. So,
yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, and I assume that that's what it was, but I just wanted to ask the question. That's all.
So if you look also, Bob, is parking ticket issued 21. We have 1 CSO this year. If we had 4 CSOs, times that by 4, you'd have 82. And what's the number over on the
Yeah.
because I know you're a numbers guy.
Yeah. No. That's why I was asking the question.
So if you look at it, we only have one CSO, 21 parking tickets. Last year we had 4. They had 82. It's like right on the nose.
Everybody has to have vices and numbers of mine, so I'm sorry.
A good question, Bob.
No, it's good.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I lost my spot here, but
Sorry.
promotional process. So actually tomorrow is the day that I'll be making the announcement for the sergeant promotional process because of Sergeant McCaffrey's impending departure from police work. So that will go out tomorrow. So start to get ready probably in October. We may end up doing a special meeting or whatever the commission decides as far as interviewing of candidates. So I'll put it out tomorrow, but we have a written exam on, looks like September 22nd. And then a week later, there's an oral board with a panel of police supervisors. And then from there, it will come to the Board of Police Commissioners for their interviews. So I just want you guys to be ready for that. The other thing is we've talked about use of force. We made some policy adjustments in the past meetings, etc. And I know Commissioner O'Shaughnessy, bless you, had the opportunity to come in and review our use of force reports. We knew that each month that one of the commissioners would make a report on sort of what they found, saw, or didn't see anything. And so I'd, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner O'Shaughnessy wanted to comment.
Yes, Chief, thank you. I did come in and spend a couple hours going over the use of force reports for the last 2 years by the department. I didn't find anything that was out of policy. Everything seemed to be just fine with any use of the force reports that were submitted by the PD. It looked fine to me.
Thank you.
I did bring up a couple things on the police accountability bill that was just passed recently, and obviously that's been a lot of time on my part and almost every police chief in the state of Connecticut on what's going to go on. We had started a committee on body cams. We should have this week. I didn't see it come in. If they came in yet, we have samples, so to speak, or trial body cams that should be in. So we're probably going to put those out in the next week once they're in, and Lieutenant Schneider is able to do so. We'll get those out to try out and see which one. And then again, if we are going before the Board of Finance for the policy end of it, we'd be going before them for the body cam end of it on potential funding for that and where it needs to come from, whether it's going to be in the SIP account, because it looks like the bill only is going to reimburse us for 30% of the cost of the body cams and dash cams. Just body and dash cams. We had some initial quotes, but we have not negotiated with anybody at this point in time. And I'm not quite sure where our negotiation leverage will be because it's a law that we have to do. So I think, again, that's something we have to jump off on here early and often because we're going to be competing with other departments for equipment and availability as well. And we also want to make sure that we are complying with the law as it is. So a lot of work going on with that as well, and a lot of time of understanding what it means for us as a police department, the costs associated, whether it's the mental health evaluations, the drug testing, the body cams that have to come, and accreditation as well. Those are all things that will be part of our moving forward with policing this year and into the future, more than likely. So we are working on to understand what it means and to work with our legislators on moving forward with this particular legislation that's there. But that is going to be certain challenges that we're going to have with timing on requirements of the law as well. So I mean, we have to be ready for these things. So I think the earlier we get off and running, the better off we will be down on the road. So
right.
Chief, this is Commissioner Tabor again, and I think we talked about it previously, but the regarding the dash cams and the body cams, when we're talking to the Board of Finance, it's not just the expense for the hardware, but it's also for the uploading, retrieval, and storage of all the data as well, right? That's part of the overall cost that has to be factored in, right?
Absolutely. And then you also have redaction software that you have to have, because if by chance there's a juvenile or a witness or anything along that line, and now if you had 4 officers at a scene, you would have four body cams, 4 dash cams, all recording, and you'd have to go through the event, and you'd have to have somebody go through that, and if they had to redact anything, it can be extremely time consuming. Groton Town hired a retired police officer with records experience, and that's one of his full-time jobs is to do redaction of body cam requests, and also to take those body cam footage and if it's connected with a criminal case, send it to court, and also archive it and save it. And we're in a new digital world, and we're going to have to adapt to it. And that's going to be a challenge, especially if we stay the same numbers that we are. So as you can see, we need to be on the water. We need, when COVID's done, we're going to have our events back. We have to hire people right now. We have to now
Community service.
Community service. We're starting to be pulled in a lot of directions. Accreditation. What does that mean as far as time-consuming policies and procedures? So that's one of the reasons why I was like, hey, if we can have this particular law group that does it around the state, it's going to save us a ton of time and effort. That could I do it? Yeah, I could do it. But would it take? There wouldn't be enough hours in the day. It would be like a second job to do that, all that stuff. So it's just going to be these requirements that are coming our way. It's a new wave of policing right now, and that's what we have to adapt to. So,
Any other questions regarding the report of the chief? Chief, do you have anything else?
I've forgotten something. I always say that, but I think the only thing is I think we're probably going to get some questions on some of the parking in downtown Mystic potentially in the next couple weeks, specifically along Washington Street. So if anybody wants to, refresh their memories and go along Washington Street as far as parking and pedestrians down in that area, to take a look at what you're seeing or not seeing in that particular area. And again, it's busy down there right now, so you have a lot of people walking around. I think that's it.
Can I just make a comment about that? I mean, we have numerous streets that have no sidewalks, that people park along the street, not only in downtown Mystic, but in other places just a little bit outside of town. So it's a very difficult thing to be addressing by changing parking that we have now. People walk in the streets all the time because we just don't have the sidewalks or the size of the roads. They are cow paths after all.
You got to remember too, our budget that was, the administrations and the police commission, we had made a recommendation for sidewalks along Washington Street.
Yep.
So,
It's all part of the Coptrell Street
right.
discussion.
Right. Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Any questions, comments about the report of the chief? Do I hear a motion to accept the report of the chief?
I make that motion, Commissioner O'Shaughnessy.
Second, Commissioner Elmer.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussions? All in favor? O'Shaughnessy?
Aye.
Commissioner Tabor?
Aye.
Commissioner Elmer?
All right.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. The report of the chief is accepted. On to the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion, Commissioner Tabor.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
O'Shaughnessy makes that second.
O'Shaughnessy seconds. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? O'Shaughnessy,
Aye.
Tabor,
Aye.
Elmer,
Aye.
Turner?
Aye.
Consent agenda has been accepted.
Can I just make a couple comments? I think there's 7 or 8 thank yous on the consent agenda sent to the PD or our individual officers. And I just want to, bring that forward, that we continue to get a lot of praise out there with officers and what they're doing. And then I should have said this under my report, was that our latest hire should be starting September 8th. So we're probably going to be doing a swearing in on September 8th for him. We've done everything with the police academy, so he should be off and running at that particular time with FTO. He's going to town hall next week to do all the paperwork. So he should be in a Stonington police uniform here in a couple of weeks. So just to give you an update on where that stands.
We don't have a time for that swearing.
Not yet. We're still
All right.
still doing that. But like I said, I knew I forgot something.
That's all right. I usually remember after the meeting, so. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, Commissioner O'Shaughnessy,
Aye.
Commissioner Tabor,
Aye.
Commissioner Elmer,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.